this is Our View, brought to you by the proud members of the Washington Federation of State Employees. This legislative session, the state Senate held a hearing on another right-to-work bill. I believe they were surprised when over 1,100 workers showed up to tell them that right to work is wrong for Washington. Here's one of those workers.
My name is Pedro Espinosa. I'm also a representative of the union. I've been a member for 18 years now, and I tell you this, that I owe everything to the union that has provided me for my family. I just want to say a quote that I think reflects a lot of the things that we've been talking about here. And it's a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King. Quote, "We must guard against being fooled by false slogans, such as right to work. It is a law to rob us of our civil rights and job rights. It is purpose to destroy labor unions and the freedom of collective bargaining by which unions have employed wages and working conditions for everyone." And as we could state that in the states where unions hold strong, the safety record stands for itself. Also, it provides a way for people to not be in poverty, but also to provide for themselves, to stand up and have an affordable life. Now, we talk about America being great. Well, let's keep it great, because this is the way we keep America great, because we build America.
Adding a voice of opposition to this bad idea was State Senator Kevin Ranker, the ranking member of the Senate Ways and Means Committee. He says there's nothing to be saved, and it may be a matter of safety.
You get what you pay for. Look, I want my roads to be safe. I want to be able to drive down the freeway and not hit a pothole so big my tire bursts. I want to make sure that the people protecting my daughter and teaching my daughter are well trained and certified to do such. I want to make sure that the people working on the side of the highway are doing an excellent job pouring the cement, pouring the asphalt in the right way, so that we don't have to come back and do it again the next year. Years ago as a county commissioner, I remember that we had a contractor pour the asphalt poorly. Actually, I guess the mix was poor. We had to go back and do hundreds of miles or dozens of miles of county road again because it wasn't done correctly. One of the reasons we have great skilled laborers is they do their job well. If we want to just farm that out and go to the lowest common denominator, that is a very quick race to the bottom.
Meantime, meet 3 state employees who provide services you may never think about. However, what they do may be life-saving for one of your neighbors or a family member.
Substance abuse is a great example. Oftentimes parents are in need of treatment, and that becomes a huge issue. Oftentimes they're in need of inpatient treatment, so we work with families to keep their kids safe while they go to inpatient treatment. That's one example. Another example would be with a parent that maybe has some parental deficiencies and they are in need of some education. And so we help find the appropriate parenting classes or support systems to make sure that they have what they need to be good parents, and offer case management services to make sure that those needs are being met. Seeing kids watch their parents grow and watch their parents change for the better is a huge thing, and it's, kids learn by example. And if we can stop any amount of that furthering in the community, any amount of substance abuse, and stopping those things in their tracks, and kids watching their parents become better people, then I think they in turn will become better people, and they watch their role models do the right thing.
Well, I guess we might say that we are saving lives by cleaning everything and sanitizing everything that we need to kill all the germs, bacteria, whatever. Because if I don't do my job, then they can't do their job. If I don't clean equipment or whatever that needs to be cleaned in the hospital, then they can't do anything with that. Because without us cleaning the hospital, the doctor can't do procedures, sanitize all the equipment that need to be used, then they can't do it because everything has to be cleaned before they do their work.
I work with people who have, they've become disabled, acquired disabilities, and have lost jobs, haven't been able to keep up, sort of thought that they were done. And when I've been able to work through the process, work with my other teammates and help them get jobs, and they're thrilled and happy and alive again, and they feel like a person again, and they're very happy to be able to contribute to the community again. And so when they cry tears of happiness, I do too.
With an apology for the sound quality, here's an amateur video interview of actress Amber Heard. The former wife of Johnny Depp speaks out on domestic violence and reminds women who are victims they don't have to go through this alone.
How is this happening to me? I'm strong, smart. I'm not a victim to my detriment. I guess there was a lot of shame attached to that label of victim. It happens to so many women, when it happens in your home behind closed doors with someone you love, it's not as straightforward. If a stranger did this,
Right.
as it was pointed out to me, if a stranger did this, it would be a no-brainer. It's telling someone safe is the beginning of choosing yourself. I really think about it. If I hadn't had that, if I hadn't had a few people that I really trust around me, a few women support, a few friends, if I hadn't had them around me, how different my life would be. Just as a woman, having gone through this in the public stage, and in the public arena that I did it, and I have a unique opportunity to remind other women, not only that this doesn't have to be the way it is, you don't have to do it alone, you're not alone, and also we can change this. Violence against women is not limited to actual physical violence. It is also about how we deal with it and how we talk about it in the media and in our culture. And us taking responsibility for it is what really needs to change. We need to take responsibility for how we talk about these things. It's the only way that people are going to feel comfortable in coming forward, raising their voices, standing up for themselves, is if we change the system in place that keeps them quiet. Speak up. Speak up. Raise your voice. Your voice is the most powerful thing, and we, together, as women standing shoulder to shoulder, cannot and will not any longer accept silence.
Federation Vice President Judy Kuschel adds that domestic violence isn't a private affair. It often has profound effects on the community.
Well, there's a lot of impacts that domestic violence has. One is the risk to law enforcement, as we just saw another recent homicide of a police officer going to a domestic violence call. We had one in Vancouver. A Clark County sheriff's officer was killed by a domestic violence call. So one is we have safety to the community. We also have safety to family members. As you will see in the news, a lot of times a domestic violence offender attacks not only his partner, but family members, friends, and children. So one, we have a community safety risk. When a family is broken apart by domestic violence, we have a lot of problems with employment, housing. We have women in homeless shelters. There's a lot of cost to the community because we have a lot of economic costs when you take a family and break it into two families. I think the most insidious thing is how hidden it is, because it crosses all economic and all job classes. We kind of have a perception that it's a problem of people maybe less educated or of a less economic. It can be a very hidden problem for women because they don't feel the ability to speak up, because there's a perception that if you're a successful or have the kind of economics that you wouldn't be a victim of domestic violence, but that is very untrue. So there are a lot of state employees that work in many factors with employment security DSHS and Department of Corrections to work with domestic violence victims. But one of the hardest things is they need a safe place to speak up and tell people that they do have an issue that they need help with.
Here are some timely tips on how to survive our current climate from Chris Vance, former state Republican chairman, now a public affairs consultant.
Think for yourselves. Don't listen. Here's first of all, get involved. Okay? When the Federation asks you to help, help. When they ask you to come to Olympia, do it. Second, don't believe all the garbage on the internet, because it is garbage. Listen to, get first-hand sources, and listen to the evil, reviled mainstream media, real journalism. They actually do, they still tell the truth, basically. And don't listen and don't reward bad behavior. Don't listen to people and click on people who want to stir up a lot of hate and anger out there. I mean, talk radio, their whole business model is to make people angry, and often with bad information. So yeah, get the information directly from the source if you can. Don't become a cynic. Have faith and get involved.
State employees in the Department of Financial Institutions, partnering with KCTS-TV, have some handy advice to help you out of credit card debt.
If you're only making minimum monthly payments on your credit cards and hate that balances are growing out of control, there is a way to dig out from under credit card debt, whether you owe a few $100s or many thousands. The quickest way to save big is to negotiate a lower interest rate. A simple, polite phone call to each credit card company may be all it takes. Now comes the hard part, tracking your expenses and sticking to a budget. Cutting back can be as effective as cutting out. Turn down the thermostat, eat out less, and sell things you don't really need for extra cash. If you have several credit cards, choose between two strategies. One is to pay as much as you can towards the highest interest credit card while paying the minimum on the others. Once the first card is paid off, move to the next highest interest card. A second strategy is to pay off your card with the lowest balance first, which can be a psychological boost, while continuing to pay the minimum on the others. Consider consolidating all balances into one lower interest credit card and start plowing as much savings as you can into that. Until you pay off the debt, put the credit cards away. Research shows that paying cash or using a debit card makes people think twice before buying.
Support comes from the Washington State Department of Financial Institutions, providing information to build a sound financial future. More at dfi.wa.gov.
This has been Our View, brought to you by the proud members of the Washington Federation of State Employees. We remind you, when you accept a paycheck for your hard work, you don't give up your rights. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in May.